AITA for not letting my niece sew me a dress for a big career moment because she doesn't do a good job. I love my niece, and I support her creative expression. I've told her that she could make me a dress for running around the house, running errands, hanging out, etc. I'm happy to wear something she's made at times where it's appropriate. I've worn the acrylic scarf she crocheted me for a few years now, and it's not because it looks good. She uses YouTube and TikTok tutorials, so she doesn't know how to work off patterns, make tailoring adjustments, choose the right fabric, etc. On TikTok and other social media spaces, the cool thing to do is announce that you made your garment from a ratty thrifted sheet using an old pair of shorts you had lying around. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. But she doesn't take the time to do things like pressing or finishing steams, trimming or sewing in ends, etc. When I've suggested it to her, she said it's more authentic the way she does it. She begged me to do an outfit for an event I have coming up where I'll be on stage. I try to let her down gently and said that I had a dress being tailored as we speak. She said I could wear that one to something else, but that I should wear something she made because it would be special and a bonding experience for us. Everyone in my family is obsessed with bonding experiences. Everything has to be a bonding experience between the adults and kids. It's exhausting. I reiterated my no, saying no, I did not want you to make me anything. Her mom, my sister-in-law, is telling me that I care way too much about my appearance and my image. This is an event related to my career. The last thing I need to do is walk up on stage in something that doesn't fit or looks like it was made with a sheet. And especially because I am plus-sized, how I look is judged more harshly. SIL complaining about me being superficial is not new. I dared to buy one designer bag for myself, and she did the whole thing you see on Reels, the whole stupid. I would just thrift a bag and put the rest of my money in the bag bit. I was briefly engaged, and she would not shut up about how I supposedly wanted a wedding, not a marriage, because I dared want to pick out my own decor and not just use whatever she could scrounge up on Marketplace or get for sale at the craft store. My career is the most important thing in the world to me right now. Obviously, for my SGL, her child is the most important thing in the world to her. But am I correct to put my career ahead of her child's feelings? Or do my values automatically make me the asshole? AITA for not telling my roommate about a hangout because I don't want her to come? I late 20s, live with Emma, mid-20s, who doesn't go out much or have many friends. She has a traditional mindset and says things like women who party too much aren't wife material, but still tries to come off as trendy and social. I brought her twice to hang out with Noah, a close friend of mine, and our circle of international friends. The group speaks 3 languages, and Emma doesn't speak any fluently, so I've always translated for her, which I honestly don't mind. What's exhausting is that she doesn't just want help. She wants me to stop enjoying myself to be her wingwoman and social buffer all night. She barely interacts with them directly, unless I'm guiding everything. Yet she follows them online, talks about them like they're her close friends, and acts like she's part of the group, even though every interaction has gone through me. At home, she constantly asks about them and analyzes their posts like she's fantasizing a bond that isn't really there. She's pretty, and yeah, people want to dance or talk to her. But she struggles to hold a conversation, even in her own language, unless I'm hovering nearby. She turns hangouts into this subtle audition, trying to seem like perfect girlfriend/wife material. It feels like a weird competition from her when I'm not even in. BC, these are my friends. I'm not trying to impress anyone. Noah recently invited me to a small hangout, and I want to bring Nina, a friend who also met him through me. Nina speaks their languages and is chill, social, and easy to be around. I can relax when she's there. BC, she doesn't make it weird or emotionally draining. Emma is supposed to be out of town that weekend. I stupidly hinted Noah might be around, and now she's all excited, acting like she'll run into him. I'm worried she'll cancel her trip and try to join if she finds out. I haven't told her, and I do feel guilty, but I just want one stress-free night with people I care about without playing translator, babysitter, or emotional handler, especially when I already struggle socially myself. LOL. Ida? AITA for not cooking breakfast for my niece and nephew? Not the a-hole. My 36M sister, 34F, moved into my house about 2 months ago with her 2 kids, 7M, for F, after she ended a really bad relationship. I've always been an early-ish riser and like to get up and make myself some breakfast around 7 or 8 a.m. Nothing spectacular, just whatever I felt like that day. When my sister moved in, I realized quickly that she liked to sleep in. Some days, she was up as late as 1 p.m. I gave her the benefit of the doubt since I knew how hard her breakup was for her. Since my sister slept so late daily, she wouldn't get up and take care of her kids. I got into a routine with my niece and nephew that basically whatever I cooked myself for breakfast, I'd make enough for them as well until the other morning. I woke up and had an urge to make huevos rancheros. The kids immediately started complaining that they didn't want that and wanted something different. I was nice and ended up making them pancakes since it's not their fault that their mom is really struggling. The next morning, I was making breakfast potatoes and eggs, but all I heard was, "We don't want that. We want something different." So again, I obliged. Finally, after 3 mornings of my unwanted food critics getting a separate meal, I finally told them, I'm no longer cooking 2 different meals for breakfast. If you don't like what I'm making, go ask your mom to get up and do it. So they went upstairs to wake her up, but she still didn't come downstairs until after 1 p.m. The kids immediately started complaining that I refused to feed them, and my sister was pissed. She started in about how they need to be fed by a certain time and a bunch of other things that she said to try and intentionally hurt me. I snapped and told her, look, I know you're depressed, but wake up and take care of your ing kids instead of expecting me to do it. She got quiet after that and is still giving me the cold shoulder, but I know she's expecting me to apologize. Sorry this was long-winded, but let me have it. Aita? Aita for telling a lady to put her dog back in the carrier on the airplane. I, 35M, had to fly to LA this morning on Delta, and I had an aisle seat. It was a smaller plane with 2 seats per side. No TV or movies on this flight, and I wasn't paying for Wi-Fi. So, just me and my music. 10 minutes into the flight, the lady, 40s, across the aisle was moving around and trying to get in her personal item. She busts out a dog. In my head, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm not dog-friendly, so I tell the lady firmly, you better put the dog back in the carrier. She says it's cramped in the carrier, and the dog would rather be in her lap. I tell her to put it away, or this could be a bigger scene for you. She reluctantly put it away. The rest of the flight, she would baby talk the dog and call me the asshole. I complained to the flight attendants after the flight. Ada, for telling my husband I don't want to homeschool his kids. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that I really don't want to homeschool his kids? We have 4 kids, 2 teens and a 10-year-old girl and 1-year-old boy. 1 teen and the 10 years old are his from a previous woman. Our 1-year-old is ours together and my teen daughter from my ex. He told me he really wants me to homeschool both his school-age kids. His 10 years old is a handful. We have a mostly good relationship now, but the first couple years was bumpy and she still has problems following rules and instructions. So I can imagine teaching her anything would put a serious wedge between us, and his teen son doesn't listen to me at all. He's very disobedient. The school year when they go to school, very nice private school by the way. It's a nice break for me, and I'm a Som, and I also help with his business on top of taking care of all house chores and cooking/shopping and the kids plus their homework and taking them to all after school and summer activities. I think I would lose my mind if I had to add homeschooling to my plate. Am I wrong for telling him I need that break each day away from the kids? Aita for wearing a 2-piece bikini to my granddaughter's birthday pool party? My granddaughter Kelsey, 19F, and I, 67F, were shopping for her 19th birthday party. After she picked out an outfit for herself, she tried to put an outfit for me. All her suggestions were 2-piece bikinis. I gave the obvious answer, but she said her generation, especially those in our state, isn't that judgmental. I wore a 2-piece bikini at Kelsey's 19th birthday pool party. I was flattered though I should wear it, and I didn't want her to feel she will have to hide herself when she gets older. The party was hosted by Kelsey's mom and my daughter Bridget, 44F. After the party, Bridget told me it was inappropriate for a woman my age to wear that in front of a bunch of college-age youngsters. She notable that she herself wore a 1-piece instead of a 2-piece. Am I the asshole? Aita for being angry that my child's stepmom allowed him to have a drink of an alcoholic beverage? I, 32F, am upset that my child's 9M stepmom, 23F, gave my child a small sip of an alcoholic beverage. My son's dad, 32M, is an alcoholic. Both me and stepmom have been through a lot due to his alcoholism. I've also spent so much time educating my child on the dangers of alcohol because of it. Supposedly, they were at a restaurant, and my child was curious and wanted to try his dad's drink. Dad said no, but stepmom said it was okay and allowed it. Stepmom thinks it's okay because her parents let her sneak a little sip here and there as a child. They think I'm being ridiculous for being so angry. I feel like my trust has been betrayed, and it honestly makes me concerned for the things they may allow. Aita, I would like to clarify a few things. I said this in a comment, but it's getting lost, of course. Dad just got out of rehab less than a month ago, and I was unaware he was drinking in front of my child until they told me about it. I also understand the concern about making alcohol taboo and not allowing it is harmful. I understand he's going to probably drink at some point. I'm simply trying to educate him and give him the tools to be smart about it, as a lot of his dad's family struggles with addiction. I feel like stepmom was out of line, and it was not her decision to make. I feel like this should have been discussed with all of us prior. It was a Midori sour. He liked it. He continued to be curious about it. This wasn't some nasty beer. This version of events was told to me by the actual stepmom and his dad. Aita for refusing to share my space with my cousin and her kids and planning to leave while they're staying with us. I, 29F, co-own a home with my mom and sister. I live in the basement, which has been my private space. Today, my mom told me that my cousin from overseas, who I barely know, and her 2 young kids are coming to stay with us for the entire summer, and that they'll be staying in the basement with me in the spare room. 2 protested, and she called me selfish. I don't even know the names of my cousin's kids at all, and I value my personal space and quiet. I also work night shifts, so when I come home in the morning to sleep, I don't want to be disturbed with any noise. Also, my mom and sister are going on a 10-day cruise next month, and I was really looking forward to having the house to myself for once. My family can be pretty overbearing. When I brought this up, my mom just said, "Well, now you won't be home alone," like that was a good thing. I told her she made this decision without considering me at all and that I don't plan to host or entertain anyone while they're gone. For added context, the last time a cousin stayed with us from overseas, my mom pressured me into giving her money so she could shop. I'm afraid that history will repeat itself, but 3x as much since she's bringing her kids too. At this point, I'm so upset, I'm seriously considering going to a hotel for those 10 days just to have peace. It feels like my space and comfort were completely disregarded, and I don't want to give up my personal space. Aita in this situation? Edit 1. My basement space is fully open to the upstairs. There's no door, just a staircase. So it's not like I can lock anything or really block off my space. Plus, the laundry room is in the basement, which everyone needs access to. Aita for leaving before my mom's birthday, after my brother's ugly comment on my husband. We've been taking a break from my family for the past few years because they, mostly my dad and brothers, don't like my husband, James. They're all very macho, and our marriage doesn't fall into the 1950s shit they want for me. It's very if all you want is gray for me. The break was my choice, and I held them all to it. Their big problem is how James isn't manly enough. He has a chronic illness, and we've had to do things like leave weddings early and cancel outings. He makes less money than me. He isn't very strong. He can't take care of me. He doesn't know how to fix a car. He was vegan in college. He can't give them grandkids, which is probably the worst offense in the history of mankind. James said that he wanted to give them another chance, so we worked towards it, and everyone seemed like they were actively being kinder all around. My mom said that the break really shocked them into doing better. We decided to head over for my mom's birthday, which was a week ago. We were nervous. Things did seem better, and we thought maybe we really could have them in our lives again. I missed them. My brother ruined it. I was sitting with my nephew on my lap, and James was helping my dad inside. My brother said I looked good with a baby on my lap. Then he said, "I'll never get how you could give up being a mom for a guy who won't even mow the lawn." Because James passed out while he was mowing the lawn because of the sun and heat exposure. Since then, I mow the lawn. They know about this. It was a scary time for me. I said he needs to watch it. He rolled his eyes at me and said that it's not fair that he can't even be himself and say what's on his mind with his own family just because that pendejo is here. MMHM. I set my nephew down and walked away and told James it was time to go. My mom called me while we were on the road. I told her what happened, and she said, "Dios mío, you are really this mad about such a little comment?" We argued over it until it became a screaming match, and she called me a bad daughter to cause her this stress on her birthday, and that it seems like I was just waiting for one of them to screw up, and that I have a problem with allowing other people to have opinions. And I should understand the family is upset we won't have kids, because any family would be. That last part is what I'm caught on and why I might be the asshole. Does me not wanting them to speak bad things on James mean I'm stopping them from being honest, which I guess they should be allowed to be? Does that make me the asshole? And for leaving and causing a scene, yes, but that's not the big part. Aita for being angry that my child's stepmom allowed him to have a drink of an alcoholic beverage? I, 32F, am upset that my child's 9M stepmom, 23F, gave my child a small sip of an alcoholic beverage. My son's dad, 32M, is an alcoholic. Both me and stepmom have been through a lot due to his alcoholism. I've also spent so much time educating my child on the dangers of alcohol because of it. Supposedly, they were at a restaurant, and my child was curious and wanted to try his dad's drink. Dad said no, but stepmom said it was okay and allowed it. Stepmom thinks it's okay because her parents let her sneak a little sip here and there as a child. They think I'm being ridiculous for being so angry. I feel like my trust has been betrayed, and it honestly makes me concerned for the things they may allow. Aita, I would like to clarify a few things. I said this in a comment, but it's getting lost, of course. Dad just got out of rehab less than a month ago, and I was unaware he was drinking in front of my child until they told me about it. I also understand the concern about making alcohol taboo and not allowing it is harmful. I understand he's going to probably drink at some point. I'm simply trying to educate him and give him the tools to be smart about it, as a lot of his dad's family struggles with addiction. I feel like stepmom was out of line, and it was not her decision to make. I feel like this should have been discussed with all of us prior. It was a Midori sour. He liked it. He continued to be curious about it. This wasn't some nasty beer. This version of events was told to me by the actual stepmom and his dad. Aita for not giving my son $10,000? My son married his high school sweetheart in 2011. Disaster for many reasons, but end result was that they had 2 kids, then divorced 7 to 8 years ago. They live in VA, which is known as a state that favors mother's custody. She has primary custody, and he has some visitation. He is getting hit pretty hard on child support and wants to have 50-50 custody of his kids, as well as being fully informed on medical, school, etc. We totally agree with those desires. His ex-wife is very bad at communications. The recent court-ordered co-parenting sessions were horrible. We doubt how she acts is going to change. But since he's been a teenager, our son has had a tendency to believe that if he really wants something to have a certain result, he will get it. He has been to court with his ex multiple times, most recently asking again for shared custody. He truly believes, each time, that he will get what he wants regardless of past history. The first time he went to court, this round, he represented himself and got his but handed to him. He got a lawyer, spent more time with the kid GL, and went back to court, this time with a lawyer. Spent over $10,000, owes $13,000 more. Got marginally better results, but had a follow-up end of June. That follow-up was last Friday, and he represented himself again. He came out angry and too raw to talk about it. But he did leave me a long text message expressing how very disappointed he was in me. As his mother and grandmother of the kids, he expected me to move heaven and earth to help him afford a lawyer. He knows we have our own issues. My husband, his stepfather, is currently fighting cancer. But he needed me, and I failed him and his kids. He expected more of me and was let down. The end of that note said that he didn't want to talk about it because he was so raw he would devolve into an anger monster and say things he shouldn't. He didn't want to talk, so I didn't call. I did text him. That was one of the most disappointing things I've ever read from him. He didn't understand, but we could talk about it later. Today I got another very long text from him, asked if I could give him $10,000, and not only would it be paid back once his child support got lowered, but that would guarantee he would get custody of his children. He went on to say he has a slim chance at a mistrial, but he almost won't do it without a lawyer smart. And OMG, he went into full manipulation mode, giving me the reasons he can't hire a lawyer. So as their grandmother, as his mother, will I loan him the money if he files for a mistrial? Okay, to me, he is assuming that 1, he has the grounds for a mistrial. 2, his child support amount would be lowered. 3, he would get more custody of his girls. And 4, that $10,000 would solve all of those problems. He is 40 plus. Shouldn't he be relying more on himself? We have bailed him out financially once before with car loan he ran away from for more than $10,000. He doesn't seem to be learning. Aita for saying no. Aita for calling my brother a loser. I, 18M, have been pushing 40-hour weeks since I ended high school a month ago. My mother plans on moving soon and wants to leave our home to me and my brother. It's a mobile home with expenses and bills being around $1,600 a month. My mother has stipulated that we must make at least $1,000 a month in order to stay here. I have already made $1,000 last month and this month, meaning I have met this stipulation. My brother 20M, however, has not. He works 2 jobs, making around 15 to 17 an hour at both. Yet he only works 20 hours a week, 26 at most. I keep telling him to talk to someone or look for a new job because I can't cobra so much forever. But he won't. He says I don't need to, or just fucking drop it. My mother sat us down and had a talk with us about the money. She told me until my brother finds himself, I have to be a good brother and pick up his slack. I said fuck no. It's not my fault he's a loser who sits on his ass all day. For context, I spend all May days off cooking and cleaning when he literally has no chores and refuses to clean. Now my brother is crying, and I'm being called a bad brother when I refuse to pick up his slack. Am I the asshole? Edit. I didn't want to clarify. This is the only time I have called him a loser. I am usually affirming and even helping him work on resumes and helping him get a job, but he doesn't try and gets angry when I help or even try to get him to help around the house. He tells me I'm not a parent and it should shut up. Aita for taking away my son's bike. My son is 8 years old, possibly autistic, still going through assessment, and demand avoidant. We have had issues with his behavior for a long time, and he's often gotten away with his behavior because my wife and I, are kind of struggling with whether some of the things he does is him being a kid misbehaving or whether it is something he can't help. Anyway, today he had spent the day playing out with friends. It got to dinner time, so I went out to call him in, at which point he refused to come in, told me he didn't have to do as I said, and that I couldn't make him. I asked his friends if they would head home, as it was his dinner time and he had to come in. Instead, he and his friends rode off on their bikes. I'll do what I want. I followed them as they hadn't gone far down the street. Again, I told him he needed to come for his dinner, and if he didn't, he wouldn't be allowed out again after dinner, and that I would take his bike, one of his prized possessions, away. His response was, "Fuck off, you idiot." So I took his bike. This is the point my wife got home, and I am in the shit. Apparently, taking the bike was an unbelievably cruel thing to do, wasn't a natural consequence, etc., and I had only made things worse. Apparently, I was supposed to sit and reason with him out in the street along with his friends, or just let him stay out. Autism or not, I don't think it is unreasonable to expect him to come in for dinner when asked. I also don't think taking away his bike is unreasonable either. But maybe I'm just an asshole? Am I the asshole for threatening to leave my mom's house? My mom brought up the topic of paying rent when to me and my older brother, 20M, I have 3 siblings in total. The oldest 2 have a different dad to me. My parents have been divorced for 10 years, and my dad's only words on the topic has been he will never charge his kids rent. With that, and the fact I'll be still attending school for another 2.5 years. So me, my 2 aunts, my mom, and siblings were in the living room when my mom brought it up. I first responded saying, I don't think this is the time to talk about this, and maybe should bring this up later. She ignored me and continued. The conversation continued civilly until I said, you should probably discuss this with Dad because he has been firmly against it. She then responded basically saying that Dad can do what he wants, but if you want to live in my house, you pay rent like your older siblings. My youngest brother, 20M, has never had to pay. I quickly responded saying, if you want to charge me rent, I will just go to Dad's house, which is a 10-minute walk, and live there. Then my aunt, who had been quiet, sharply stood up and started cussing me out, calling me an egotistic fuck, and left the house. After that, nobody brought it up anymore. In my mind, what I said wasn't meant as being hateful, more just an argument for why my mom and dad need to discuss things. I mean, I love both my parents the same, but if I am forced to pay to live with my mom, all else being equal, I will go to the other parent. What may be important is that I have lived with my mom for the last 7 months because she lives closer to the city center. And M from Sweden. AITA for bailing on a bachelor party after hearing the cost of the trip. Hey all, I'm feeling a little conflicted and wondering if I might be an asshole. Here's what happened. I have this buddy I see every now and then, mostly in group settings. My girlfriend recently became friends with his fiancé, so the four of us will occasionally hang out, maybe once every 6 months. We're friends, but not super close unless we're on a group trip or happen to run into each other. About a month ago, he texted me saying something like, "Hey, not sure we have room for the wedding, but you should come to the bachelor party. Should be around $400 a head." I said, "I'm in." A month goes by. The trip is getting close, and I still haven't heard any details or a single email. In the meantime, work has gotten hectic, and I've been feeling pretty burnout with work travel and making time for my girlfriend between her work travel. A week out, I finally get an email with the plan from who I think is his best man. Turns out it's actually $600 a head for lodging alone, and we'll be skiing for 2 days. So it's $200 per night for the Airbnb, plus 2 days of skiing, and once you add in food, drinks, gas, everything else, this is shaping up to be over $1,000 for a Thursday to Sunday trip. If this were a close friend, I'd stay committed in a heartbeat. But with everything going on, and considering we barely made the cut for the wedding, it feels like a big lift for someone I don't see often. Additionally, I will be traveling out of the country for work and driving down 4 hours to the cabin the day after returning back to the state. I don't make a ton of money to afford a trip like this, and probably won't know anyone else on the trip. Yes, international travel with don't make much sounds funny, but that's just how my industry is. I ended up texting him saying I can't afford it and won't be attending, but that I am sorry and really excited to celebrate him during his wedding. He hasn't responded yet. Now I feel like an asshole. Aita? TLDR. Friend I'm not incredibly close with invited me to his bachelor party. I thought it would be around $400, but a week out it turns out to be closer to $1,000. I bailed, and now I feel bad. AITA for calling my dad by his legal name when he refuses to call me by my preferred name, not the a-hole PO mode. So for context, I'm 16F, and he is 46M. I have a long name, for example, Anastasia, but I hate my name. I can acknowledge that it holds importance to my parents, so around relatives and guests, I let them introduce me as Anastasia, and the odd slip doesn't really matter that much. But my dad is adamant that Anastasia is my name, and I should be addressed as such even when I've made it known that I don't like it. For context, I asked them to call me Anna, and I introduce myself to new people as Anna. If you call me Anastasia, I might not respond simply because it doesn't register in my head. I've explained to both of my parents 1,000 times why I prefer Anna. It's shorter, easier to say, and it feels more like me. When I was younger, say ages 5 to 13, I went primarily by Anastasia. However, at that time, I was also extremely anxious and in a very bad mental state. I'm a lot better now with therapy and medication, and I've managed to control my anxiety. But being called Anastasia reminds me of that time of my life, which only adds to my dislike of the name. The name brings back lots of old feelings, and it just doesn't fit me anymore and hasn't for years. Sometimes, my dad will call me Anastasia intentionally to make me upset. When we're at the dinner table, for example, he'll say things like, "Please pass the salt, Anastasia," while giving me a look that makes me feel like he's trying to prove a point. The point he's trying to prove is that my legal name is Anastasia, and he doesn't have to call me anything else. Every time he's done that, I've either redirected or just said, "Anna, Dad," while passing what he wants. Here's where I might be the jerk. Tonight, I was fed up, so I responded with "Sure, George," and passed him whatever he'd asked for. He flipped out. He got very upset because I was being disrespectful. I should never call him that again. I kept going and called him George, his legal name, a couple more times during that night. Additionally, he is adamant that Anastasia isn't your dead name, so I will continue to call you the name that I gave you. Now, my mom and him are saying I'm the jerk. So Reddit, thoughts? Edit to add. My mom and dad do both primarily call me Anna. It's just that my dad and I have had this argument many times before, with me saying that Anna is what I prefer and he should respect that, and him saying that it's not the name he gave me. My mom is of a similar opinion to him. However, she is less argumentative about it, and there are less conflicts. Whenever my dad and I fight about this, she always backs him. Additionally, I've made it known that I would be fine if he would rather call me Anya, Asia, Stacia, Annie, Stacy, literally any other variation or nickname for Anastasia, or even my middle name. I understand that maybe his issue is with the name I've chosen, Anna. So I've offered him alternatives that don't force him to call me by a name he doesn't like, and that doesn't force me to hear my full name. As to the comments suggesting I legally change my name once I'm of age, I have considered it. At this point in time, I don't know what my actions going forward will be because the only people who make a fuss about Anna are my dad and sometimes mom. I have also told my dad that I'm considering changing my name. Whenever I've said this, my entire family, dad, mom, brother, have basically called it stupid and said that I was being childish. To those saying that this is how kids end up cutting off their parents, I don't see myself ever actually doing that. Despite this blip and the conflict, my dad is a generally amazing man who tries his hardest with what he's been given. I love him very much, and he's given me an amazing childhood. I'm just really getting frustrated with having to hear a name that I don't like nearly on the daily. I've expressed my opinion to him, and every time, it has gone over similarly. We've been having this argument at least weekly for at least a couple of years. I also did not claim to be trans. I'm not transgender. I only made the comment of him likening Anastasia to being a dead name because he says it frequently. I am not trying to claim the struggles of the LGBTQ community or trans people. I hold immense respect for their struggles and successes, and I would never want to invalidate them by comparing our experiences. I only said that because my dad has made the comment multiple times, essentially trying to make the point to me that if I were transitioning, then he would respect my name choice. But because it is just a preference of mine, it doesn't hold the same weight to him. Thank you, everyone, for all the support and kindness in the comments. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you all have an amazing day.
Aita for refusing to give my wedding dress to my sister after she excluded me from her bridal party. I, 28F, got married 2 years ago and have a beautiful custom wedding dress that cost around $3,000. My sister, Emma, 25F, is getting married in 3 months. Some background. Emma and I have always had a complicated relationship. She's the golden child and I've often felt overlooked by our parents. When Emma got engaged last year, I was genuinely excited for her and assumed I'd be her maid of honor since we're the only 2 kids in the family. Well, Emma asked her college roommate Sarah to be maid of honor instead. Fine, I thought maybe I'd still be a bridesmaid. But then she told me she was keeping the bridal party small and intimate, just Sarah and her 2 college friends. I wasn't included at all. I was honestly hurt but didn't make a big deal about it. I figured she wanted her closest friends by her side, even though it stung that her sister apparently didn't make the cut. Fast forward to last week. Emma comes over and casually mentions that she's been struggling to find a wedding dress in her budget. She says she's been thinking about my dress and asks if she can have it, since I'll never wear it again anyway, and it would mean so much to have something meaningful from family. I was honestly shocked. She excluded me from her wedding party, barely involves me in any wedding planning, but now wants my expensive dress. I told her no, explaining that the dress has sentimental value and I might want to save it for a future daughter or get it altered for vow renewals. Emma got upset and said I was being selfish and petty. She brought our parents into it, and now, they're saying I should be the bigger person and help my sister on her special day. They keep saying it's just sitting in a closet and that I'm holding a grudge. My husband thinks I'm completely in the right and that Emma has some nerve asking for such an expensive favor after excluding me, but now I'm second-guessing myself because everyone's acting like I'm being unreasonable. The dress would need alterations since Emma is shorter and curvier than me, which would permanently change it. She's also planning a beach wedding while mine was in a church, so the style might not even be appropriate. Am I being petty and selfish, or is this a reasonable boundary? I love my sister, but I feel like she can't have it both ways, treating me like I'm not important enough to include in her wedding party, but then expecting me to give her one of my most expensive and meaningful possessions. Aita edit. A lot of people are asking why she excluded me. She said she wanted her closest friends, who she's shared the most memories with during her formative years. We grew up in the same house, but apparently that doesn't count. That edit too. To clarify, she hasn't offered to pay for alterations or anything. She just assumed I'd give it to her for free. Aita for ruining my best friend's proposal by refusing to lie about how they met. This is probably going to be long, but I need to get this all out because I'm genuinely confused about whether I'm the asshole here. I, 29F, have been best friends with Jake 30M since we were in college about 11 years ago. We've been through everything together, breakups, job changes, family drama, you name it. He's like the brother I never had, and I've always considered him one of the most important people in my life. About 3 years ago, Jake started dating his now girlfriend Maya, 27F. Here's where it gets complicated. Jake and Maya actually met on a dating app, but Jake has always been embarrassed about online dating. He thinks it's not romantic and that people judge couples who meet that way. So from literally the first week they were dating, he started telling people they met at a bookstore. The story he created was that they both reached for the same book, some romance novel. Their hands touched. They started talking about literature, and it was this perfect meet-cute moment. He even picked out a specific bookstore downtown and would give detailed descriptions of exactly where in the store it happened, what Maya was wearing, what book it was, etc. The story was so elaborate, and he told it so often that I think he started believing it himself. I thought it was harmless at first, a little white lie to make their origin story more romantic, whatever, but then he started asking me to back up the story. He told people that I was there when it happened, that I witnessed this romantic moment, that I was the one who encouraged him to go talk to her. I was uncomfortable lying, but I didn't want to embarrass him, so I just went along with it when people asked. Over the past 3 years, this lie has gotten completely out of control. Jake has told this story to Maya's parents, his parents, their friends, co-workers, basically everyone in their lives. Maya's mom even made a scrapbook page about their romantic bookstore meeting and how fate brought them together. Jake has taken Maya to that bookstore multiple times to recreate their first meeting. They even took their engagement photos there last month. Here's the thing though, I don't think Maya knows it's a lie. Jake told me early on that he never corrected her when she assumed they met at the bookstore after he told her that story on their first date. So she's been living this lie for 3 years, thinking that's actually how they met. She's told me multiple times how much she loves their origin story and how romantic it is that they found each other in such a serendipitous way. Last weekend, Jake asked me to come over because he wanted to show me the ring he bought for Maya. He's planning to propose next month, and here's where I apparently became the asshole. His proposal plan involves going back to that same bookstore, getting down on one knee in the exact spot where he claims they first met, and asking her to marry him while surrounded by all their friends and family who will be hiding in the store. He wants me to be there as a witness, since I'm supposedly the one who saw their first meeting. He's even planning to mention in his proposal speech how I was there from the beginning and how I knew they were meant to be together from that very first moment at the bookstore. I told Jake I couldn't do it. I said I was uncomfortable being part of such an elaborate lie, especially for something as important as a proposal. I told him he should either come clean to Maya about how they actually met, or propose somewhere else without involving me in the fake story. Jake completely lost it. He said I was being ridiculous and that it's just a harmless story that makes their relationship sound more romantic. He said that after 3 years, it would be cruel and embarrassing to tell Maya the truth now, and that I would be ruining the proposal and possibly their entire relationship if I didn't play along. I stood my ground and said I wouldn't lie anymore, especially not during such an important moment. I suggested he could still propose at the bookstore, but just not make it about their fake meeting story. He could say it's a place that's become special to them over the years, which is actually true. Jake accused me of being jealous of his relationship and trying to sabotage his proposal. He said I was being selfish and that a real friend would support him instead of creating drama over something so stupid. He even said that if I truly cared about Maya, I wouldn't want to hurt her by revealing that their entire love story is based on a lie. But here's what really bothers me. Maya deserves to know the truth. She's about to get engaged to someone who has been lying to her about something fundamental for their entire relationship. And it's not just the lie itself, it's the fact that Jake has involved so many other people in this deception, including me. Maya thinks I witnessed this romantic moment that never actually happened. She's thanked me multiple times for encouraging Jake to talk to her that day, and for being such a good friend by helping their love story begin. I feel like I'm being forced to choose between being loyal to my best friend and being honest with someone who I've also grown to care about over the past 3 years. Maya has become a good friend too, and I hate that I've been lying to her this whole time. After our fight, Jake texted me saying that if I don't show up to support his proposal, our friendship is over. He said he's already told Maya that I'll be there as a special witness, and that if I back out now, I'll be ruining the most important moment of his life. Some of our mutual friends know about the situation, and they're split. A few think I should just go along with it since it's too late to tell the truth now, and that I'd be causing unnecessary drama. Others think Jake has put me in an impossible position, and that I'm right to refuse to participate in such a big lie. Maya has been texting me excitedly about the proposal. She figured out it's happening soon, and keeps saying how meaningful it will be to have me there since I was there at the beginning. Every message makes me feel more guilty about the whole situation. I've been losing sleep over this. Part of me wonders if I should just suck it up and play along for the sake of my friendship with Jake and to avoid hurting Maya. The proposal is happening either way, and maybe knowing the truth about how they met wouldn't actually change anything for her. They're genuinely happy together, and maybe the origin story doesn't matter as much as I think it does, but I also can't shake the feeling that Maya deserves honesty, especially from someone she's about to marry. And I'm tired of being complicit in this lie. Every time someone asks me about witnessing their first meeting, I feel like I'm betraying Maya's trust. Jake sent me another text yesterday saying he's not going to change his proposal plans and that I need to decide whether I'm going to be there for him or not. He said that after 11 years of friendship, I owe him this much, and that I'm being incredibly selfish by prioritizing my own discomfort over his happiness. So Reddit, aita for refusing to participate in my best friend's proposal because it's based on a lie. Should I just go along with it to preserve the friendship and avoid hurting Maya, or am I right to stand my ground about not wanting to be part of this deception anymore? I honestly don't know what to do, and I'm terrified that I'm about to lose my best friend over this, but I also don't think I can look Maya in the eye and pretend to be a witness to a romantic moment that never actually happened. Edit. A lot of people are asking why I went along with the lie in the first place. You're right that I should have shut it down from the beginning. I guess I didn't realize how big it would become, and by the time I understood how elaborate the deception was, I felt like I was in too deep to back out without causing huge drama. I know that was wrong of me. Edit 2. No, I haven't considered telling Maya the truth directly. That feels like it would be betraying Jake's trust, and I don't want to go behind his back. I'd rather he tell her himself or find a way to handle this. That doesn't involve me lying during the proposal. Edit 3. For those asking about the dating app, it was Bumble. Jake has always been weird about online dating because his parents met in college and have this very traditional love story that he's always felt pressured to live up to. I think he genuinely believes that meeting online is somehow less meaningful or romantic than meeting in person, which is obviously ridiculous. But that's his hang-up. Aita for refusing to split my inheritance equally with my siblings after I was the only one who took care of our dying father. I need some outside perspective here because my entire family is calling me selfish and greedy, but I honestly don't think I'm in the wrong. I 34, FAM, the middle child of 3. My older brother, Marcus, 37M, is a successful lawyer who lives across the country, and my younger sister Lily, 29F, is a travel blogger who's been finding herself in various countries for the past 5 years. I live about 20 minutes away from where we grew up. Our father was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's when he was only 62. Our mother passed away from cancer when I was 16, so it was just him raising us for my last 2 years of high school. He was an amazing dad, worked 2 jobs to pay for our college, never missed a school event, and always put us first. He was also incredibly smart with money and managed to save up a decent amount over the years. Plus, he owned his childhood home outright. When Dad got diagnosed 3 years ago, I immediately started researching care options, doctors, support groups, everything. Marcus said he'd help financially but couldn't move back because of his career. Lily was in Thailand at the time and said she'd visit soon, but that she couldn't handle seeing Dad like that because it was too emotionally overwhelming. So guess who became Dad's primary caregiver? Me. For the past 3 years, I've been managing his medications, taking him to every doctor's appointment, handling his finances, and gradually taking over more and more of his daily care as the disease progressed. I moved in with him 8 months ago when he could no longer be left alone safely. I had to take a leave of absence from my job as a teacher, which means I've been living off my savings and the small amount Dad gets from Social Security. Marcus visited exactly 4 times in 3 years. 4 times. Each visit lasted maybe 3 days, and he spent most of that time on work calls. He did send money for Dad's care, I'll give him that, but it was maybe $500 a month, which doesn't even cover his increased grocery bill, let alone medical expenses. Lily came back for a total of 2 weeks over the past 3 years. During her visits, she'd take Instagram photos with Dad when he was having good days, and post them with captions about cherishing family time and making memories. Then she'd leave again and not call or text for months. She never contributed financially at all, claiming she was barely scraping by while posting pictures of herself at expensive restaurants in Bali. Dad passed away last month. It was peaceful, and I was holding his hand when he went. Neither Marcus nor Lily made it in time, despite me calling them when we knew it was close. Here's where it gets complicated. Dad updated his will about a year ago. He left the house to me, along with about 60% of his financial assets. Marcus got 30% and Lily got 10%. The will specifically states that this division reflects the care and sacrifice shown during my final years. The total estate is worth about $800,000, the house is worth around $400,000, and he had $400,000 in various accounts, so I'm getting about $480,000. Marcus is getting $240,000, and Lily is getting $80,000. When the will was read, Marcus and Lily completely lost it. They're demanding that I split everything equally 3 ways, claiming that Dad wasn't in his right mind when he changed the will and that I manipulated him into leaving me more. They're threatening to contest the will. Lily actually had the nerve to say that I got more time with Dad in his final years, so I should be grateful for that instead of expecting more money. She said that just because she couldn't handle being around him didn't mean she loved him any less. Marcus is taking the approach that family should always be equal, regardless of circumstances. He says that Dad's care was my choice and that I shouldn't expect to be compensated for it. He also pointed out that he did send money to help with expenses, so he shouldn't be penalized for living far away. But here's the thing. I gave up 3 years of my life and my career to take care of our father. I watched him slowly forget who I was. I cleaned up after him, fed him, bathed him, and held him when he was scared and confused. I slept in the chair next to his bed for the last 2 months because he was afraid to be alone at night. I haven't had a full night's sleep in over a year. Meanwhile, Marcus was building his career and making partner at his firm. Lily was living her dream life, traveling the world and finding herself. They both got to live their lives while I put mine on hold. I'm not saying I regret taking care of Dad. I loved him and I'm glad I could be there for him. But I don't think it's fair that I should have to give up my inheritance too, especially when that money could help me get back on my feet and maybe buy a smaller place of my own. The house needs work, and I'm not sure I can afford to maintain it on a teacher's salary. But at least selling it would give me some financial security. After years of depleting my savings, Dad's financial assets would help me transition back to work and maybe even go back to school to get my master's degree, which I had to put on hold when he got sick. My siblings are painting me as greedy and selfish. They've gotten our aunts and uncles involved, and about half the family thinks I should split everything equally to keep the peace. The other half thinks Dad's wishes should be respected. Marcus hired a lawyer to look into contesting the will. He's arguing that Dad had Alzheimer's and couldn't make sound decisions, even though Dad was still pretty sharp when he updated the will, and his lawyer confirmed that he was mentally competent at the time. Some of our family friends have also gotten involved. A few have told me privately that they think I deserve the extra inheritance because of everything I did, but others have said that I'm being divisive and that money shouldn't come between family. I'm starting to second-guess myself. Maybe I should just split everything equally to avoid all this drama. Maybe it is selfish to expect more just because I was the one who stepped up. Maybe Marcus and Lily are right, that Dad's care was my choice, and I shouldn't expect to be rewarded for it. But then, I think about all the nights I stayed up with Dad when he was having bad episodes. All the times I had to miss work or social events because he needed me. All the stress and heartbreak of watching him deteriorate. I think about how Marcus and Lily got to continue their lives while I put mine on hold. I also think about Dad's own words. About 6 months before he died, during one of his clearer moments, he told me that he knew I was sacrificing a lot to take care of him. He said he wanted to make sure I was taken care of after he was gone, and that he hoped Marcus and Lily would understand that I had given up more than they had yesterday. Lily sent me a long text saying that she's devastated by my greed and that she never thought I was the kind of person who would profit off Dad's death. She said that the inheritance should be about remembering Dad, not about who did what for him in his final years. Marcus called me selfish and said that I'm tearing the family apart over money. He said that if I really cared about Dad's memory, I'd want to honor it by keeping the family together, instead of creating divisions. I'm honestly exhausted by all of this. I just buried my father, and instead of being able to grieve properly, I'm dealing with family drama and legal threats. Part of me wants to just give them what they want so we can all move on, but another part of me feels like that would be disrespecting Dad's final wishes. So Reddit aita for refusing to split my inheritance equally with my siblings. Should I honor Dad's will even though it's causing family drama? Or should I prioritize keeping the family together and split everything 3 ways? I'm genuinely confused about what's right here. I don't want to be greedy, but I also don't want to be taken advantage of. I've already sacrificed so much, and I don't know if I should have to sacrifice this to edit. A lot of people are asking about the specifics of Dad's condition when he changed the will. He was still in the early to moderate stages at that point. He had some memory issues and confusion, but he was still making his own decisions about daily life, managing his finances with my help, and having coherent conversations. His lawyer spent time with him alone and confirmed that he understood what he was doing. The will was also witnessed by 2 independent witnesses who can testify to his mental state. Edit 2. Yes, I kept records of all the expenses related to Dad's care, including receipts for medical costs, home modifications, increased utilities, groceries, etc. I estimate I spent about $25,000 of my own money over the 3 years, not counting lost wages from taking leave from work. Edit 3. Several people have asked why I didn't ask for more help from my siblings. I did, multiple times. Marcus always said he was too busy but would send money when he could. Lily would make promises to visit or call more often but never followed through. After the first year, I stopped asking because it was just causing arguments and stress that Dad could pick up on. Aita for refusing to let my ex-wife bring her new husband to our daughter's birthday party after what he did to me. This situation is eating me alive, and I need some unbiased opinions because everyone in my life seems to have chosen sides already. I, 35M, have been divorced from my ex-wife, Sarah, 33F, for 2 years. We have a 7-year-old daughter together named Emma, who is absolutely the light of my life. Our divorce was messy. Sarah had an affair with her co-worker David, 38M, and left me for him. They got married 6 months after our divorce was finalized. Initially, I tried really hard to be civil for Emma's sake. I know that kids suffer when parents can't get along, and I wanted to be the bigger person. David seemed like an okay guy. At first, he was polite when we had to interact, never said anything inappropriate, and Emma seemed to like him well enough. I figured if he was going to be in my daughter's life, I should at least try to tolerate him. That all changed about 8 months ago. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and about 70% of my income comes from a long-term contract with a marketing firm. It's been my primary source of income for almost 4 years, and the relationship I have with them has been great. They've referred other clients to me, and I've been able to build a solid reputation in the industry, largely thanks to this partnership. Well, it turns out David works in marketing too, and he started his own agency about a year ago. Through some mutual connections, and I suspect some digging, he figured out who my main client was. He then systematically went after my contract by underbiting me and offering services I couldn't match as a solo freelancer. I found out about this when my primary client called to let me know they'd be transitioning to a new agency. They felt bad about it and told me that David had specifically mentioned that he could provide better service at a lower cost, and that working with him would be less complicated than working with a freelancer who might have personal distractions. When I confronted David about this, he didn't deny it. He said it was just business and that he couldn't be expected to avoid potential clients just because of our personal situation. He said that if I couldn't compete in the marketplace, that was my problem, not his. This contract was worth about $4,000 a month to me. Losing it has been devastating financially. I've had to take on multiple smaller, lower-paying projects to try to make up the difference. I've been working 60 to 70-hour weeks, and I'm still struggling to pay my bills. I had to move to a smaller apartment, and I've had to cut back on a lot of things for Emma, which kills me. The worst part is that David knew exactly what he was doing. He knew how important this contract was to me, and he specifically targeted it. This wasn't some random business opportunity. He went after my livelihood deliberately. Since then, our interactions have been tense. I've been cordial but cold, and I've made it clear that I don't want to be around him more than absolutely necessary. Sarah has accused me of being petty and holding grudges, but I feel like I have every right to be angry. Now, Emma's 8th birthday is coming up next month, and Sarah wants to throw a joint party. In the past, we've done separate parties, but Emma has been asking why she can't have one big party with all her friends and both sides of her family. Sarah thinks this is a great idea and has been pushing for it. I agreed to the joint party because I want Emma to be happy, but I told Sarah that I don't want David there. I said he could drop her off and pick her up, but I don't want him at the actual party. I don't think I should have to pretend to be friendly with someone who deliberately sabotaged my career and income. Sarah is furious. She says that David is her husband and Emma's stepfather, and that excluding him from important events is unfair to Emma. She says that I need to get over it, and that mixing personal feelings with business was my mistake, not David's. She's also playing the family unity card, saying that Emma deserves to have all her parental figures at her birthday party, and that my petty grudge is going to hurt Emma's feelings. She's threatened to cancel the joint party altogether and just throw her own party with David there, which would mean dividing Emma's friends and family. Emma doesn't know the details of what David did to me. She just knows that Daddy seems upset around David now. She's been asking me why I don't like David anymore, and I've been trying to give age-appropriate answers about grown-up problems, but she's definitely picked up on the tension. Some of my friends think I should just suck it up for Emma's sake. They say that 2 hours at a birthday party isn't worth the drama, and that I should focus on Emma's happiness rather than my anger at David. They point out that Emma loves David and considers him part of her family, so excluding him could hurt her, but my close friends and family think I'm completely justified. They say that David crossed a major line by targeting my business, and that I shouldn't have to pretend everything is fine. They think Sarah is being manipulative by using Emma to force me into situations where I have to interact with David. My brother actually suggested that I should tell Emma exactly what David did so she understands why I don't want him around, but I really don't want to drag a 7-year-old into adult problems. I don't think it's fair to make her choose sides or burden her with information that might make her feel conflicted about her stepfather. The party is supposed to be in 3 weeks, and Sarah is demanding an answer. She says that if I don't agree to David coming, she's going to plan her own party and invite all of Emma's friends to that one instead. She's also hinting that this kind of uncooperative behavior might be something she brings up if we ever have to go back to court about custody arrangements. I'm torn because I genuinely want Emma to have a great birthday. She's been so excited about having one big party with everyone there. But I also don't think I should have to smile and make small talk with someone who deliberately tried to destroy my livelihood. Every time I see David, I think about the stress he's caused me, the financial strain, and the fact that I've had to cut back on things for Emma because of what he did. I've also been worried about what kind of precedent this sets. If I give in now, does that mean I have to be okay with David at every school play, graduation, and major event for the rest of Emma's childhood? I don't want to be the bitter ex-husband who makes everything difficult, but I also don't want to be a doormat. Some people have suggested that I should just focus on Emma during the party and ignore David, but I don't think I can fake being okay with him. I'm afraid I'll be visibly uncomfortable, which might make Emma feel bad or create an awkward atmosphere that ruins her party anyway. Sarah has also been telling people that I'm being unreasonable and putting my ego before Emma's happiness. She's gotten her family involved, and they've been sending me messages about how I need to be the bigger person and move on for Emma's sake. But none of them know the full story about what David did to me professionally. I've considered trying to have a conversation with David about boundaries and respect, but I honestly don't think it would go well. He's made it clear that he thinks what he did was perfectly acceptable, and I don't see him apologizing or acknowledging how it affected me. So Reddit, Aita, for refusing to let my ex-wife's husband come to our daughter's birthday party. Should I put my feelings aside for Emma's sake, or is it reasonable to draw this line? I really don't want to hurt Emma, but I also don't think I should have to pretend to be okay with someone who deliberately sabotaged my career. Edit. A lot of people are asking about the custody arrangement. We have 50-50 custody, and it's been working well. Emma spends 1 week with me and 1 week with Sarah, and we alternate holidays. I've never used custody as a weapon or tried to keep Emma away from Sarah, which is why her threat about going back to court really bothers me. Edit 2. Yes, I've consulted with a lawyer about what David did to my business. Unfortunately, there's nothing illegal about what he did. It was just ethically questionable. He didn't break any contracts or steal clients in a way that would be legally actionable. Edit 3. For those suggesting I should just compete better, David's agency has 12 employees and can offer services I can't match as a solo freelancer. He also has the advantage of being able to operate at a loss on certain contracts because he has other income sources. It's not really a fair competition when someone is specifically targeting your livelihood, while you're trying to maintain professional boundaries.